So basically what I wanted to talk about today was like using audio versus using MIDI. So like for a lot of years, I was honestly using a lot of MIDI, and I still will use MIDI. But once I use the MIDI, I'll probably convert it into audio. And there's a reason why I do this. One of the main reasons like is it allows me to control how I fade the music in and out. Like if this was in MIDI, I wouldn't be able to just like immediately fade this. Like if I wanted this to fade in at the beginning of my song, that gives me a lot of power and control. Also, I could just immediately just turn the volume up and down on this thing, even like that. And for me, that just gives me way more control. Like, in fact, let me add a MIDI real quick. Let me add something in MIDI just to like show you how much more difficult it is. If this was a MIDI track and I had some notes in here and I wanted to manipulate the volume on this, I would have to come over to my mixer. And I don't want to automate the volume on my mix channel because that could throw me off when I want to go rebalance my tracks during the mix or something like that. Like automation is something I want to do subtle when I'm at the end of mixing something. So to have that audio control while I'm producing, I would just like bounce this in place and then turn this to an audio track. You see what I'm saying? Now that it's turned an audio track, I can manipulate the volume up and down. I can fade it in and out with this. That's so much better. Also, like if you produce in MIDI, I notice a lot of people on the internet when they produce in MIDI, and trust me, I was guilty of this for the longest time. And it's not bad in every scenario. I just don't believe in getting too addicted to making music this way because I think it's severely limiting. But a lot of people, they just come in and they draw all of their music in. Now, if that works for you, by all means, keep doing that. But for me, it was putting me in my head way too much. You know what I mean? And I was making a lot of assumptions about where I thought certain pieces of music should come in during the composition. So like we say we have the intro of the song and I'm just assuming like, yeah, we should start off with the bass and we should start off with like a leading sound. And then maybe the drum should start at the beginning of the verse. That might work. Most of the times that might be cool. But like if I'm doing audio, I'm not making as many assumptions about where things should go by just drawing it in or lazily playing it and then just telling myself, oh, I didn't have the most perfect performance, but I'll just go over there and quantize it and fix it. There's nothing wrong with quantizing your tracks, but there's a certain natural rhythm and groove that I feel like my music has when I connect it to like an audio device like the keyboard, which is recording in straight audio. See what I'm saying? Or just force yourself to get the performance right away when you record it in MIDI. And then immediately, like if the performance is right, don't even try to quantize it. Just turn it into audio, like how I just showed you. Because what that's going to do is that's going to force you to like get the performance right, which is making you a better musician. So like when I was creating this song that I'm working on right now, brown skin beauty in a tight dress and she look bossy, working up the nerves. Now I really feel my heartbeat. This the time I just sat back like a car seat, didn't even say what's up. Now I feel salty. Now she's a memory and it's gonna. Let me just stop it right there real quick. So like the way I was producing for a long time, I kept assuming where these instruments might come in at when I was doing MIDI. I don't ask me why MIDI was causing me to do that. In my mind, MIDI is the devil now that I've kind of realized that like getting away from it is just better. It just feels to me like because I'm out of my head more, I'm just kind of like playing the keyboard right here, picking the sound, just kind of letting the music loop around, and then I'm playing it in. And then, once I have something that's cool, I will come through and be like, oh, well, I didn't like that part. So I come through, mute this, come through, mute that, come through and mute that right there, just so I don't have too many sounds stacked on top of each other, And then it's like, okay, let's pull up the MPC. Like this was the Mini D from the MPC. I had the MPC plugged into to here and I was recording the audio through it. And then I was just playing it in real time. You know what I'm saying? I was just playing it in real time. Then I come back and then I mute whatever performance I don't like. I mute, or I probably just delete it, you know, and then the muting I do later when I just find out I don't necessarily may not want it there and at that timing. But you just have so much more control. Like, I mean, you come to the end of the record right here. If this was in Midi, there's no way I would have faded this out the way I faded this out right here. And I'll play it in a second, but just let me show you like how I was showing you before in the beginning. If these were all notes, like this, fading it out by just bringing the velocity down is not the same as fading it. It doesn't even compare to how smooth it is fading it out like this, just naturally, like. See how I had all these different things fading out at one time? It's just so much smoother like that. So I just want to get on here and say that a lot of videos that I plan on making, I'm just trying to send messages to my younger self, to my less experienced self. That's all I'm trying to do. So if me telling my less experienced self something is helping you, then cool. Come through, like the video, share, comment, subscribe, all of that, man. You know, it's all love coming from me. Ask questions if you want. You know, share your music, whatever you got if you want to. Y'all have a good night.